Yo, what's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be going over the MLB slate on DraftKings and Yahoo for Thursday, May the 16th. I'm just going to do the night slate for this video. There is a 4-game early slate for Thursday, but I will not be covering that. I'm just going to be taking a look at the 5-game night slate. At least it's 5 games on DraftKings. DraftKings is including the 6:40 game between the Cubs and Reds. That game's going to be in their main slate. On Yahoo, their main slate starts at 7:20 and does not include that game, so 5-gamer for DraftKings, 4-gamer for Yahoo. We'll take a look at some of the plays I like for each site. We'll start off on DraftKings, look at the pitchers that I'm going to be targeting on DK. We'll start at the top and work our way down. And of course, I'll give my 3 hitters I'll be targeting to go along with my 2 pitchers. We'll go over some stacks that I like, and then we'll talk about BVP plays towards the end of the video. Just before we do get started, guys, I would appreciate it if you would drop a like on the video. And if you are new to the channel, make sure you click that subscribe button down below, so that way you won't miss out on any of my new videos. So at the top of the pitcher player pool on DK, we have Luis Castillo, the most expensive option. He's $10,600 at home against the Cubs. I wouldn't say that this is a fairly good matchup for Castillo. It's a pretty good Cubs lineup. It's a Cubs lineup that has a lot of power. Not a ton of strikeouts. You can definitely get some Ks from the bottom of the lineup. But Castillo is just such a good pitcher, and when you just look at the other options on this slate, nobody really has the upside that Castillo has. So on DraftKings, where he's an option, I'm going to be paying up for him quite a bit. But if we do go over to Yahoo, they do not include that game, so Castillo is not an option on Yahoo. I think paying up for Trevor Williams over there makes a lot of sense. If we look at Williams compared to Castillo on DraftKings, Williams is $8,300, Castillo is $10,600. Honestly, think I'd still rather play Castillo, even though he's $2,000 more. Like I said, Castillo just has so much upside. This is a guy that can go out there and rack up strikeouts. We've seen him do it multiple times this year. 11 Ks in his last start against the Giants, 9 Ks against the Giants when he faced them the other time, 9 Ks against the Padres, 8 against the Marlins, 9 against Milwaukee. Although it's a Cubs lineup that doesn't have a ton of strikeouts in it, like I said, Castillo is just such a good pitcher that he has so much more upside than any of the other pitchers going on this slate. So I really like him on DK. On Yahoo, Trevor Williams I think is the top option you want to pay up for. He's going to be facing a Padres lineup that's going to roll out a ton of righties, and Trevor Williams is pretty good versus right-handed hitters. He does struggle more to lefties, and the only 2 lefties in the projected lineup are Greg Garcia and Eric Hosmer. So really good spot for Trevor Williams. I think he's a very good play at $40 on Yahoo. He's a guy that I would play quite a bit over there. But now finding a SP2 to pair with Castillo. Since we did go to Castillo and he's so expensive, we probably are going to want to try and find a cheaper option. I think Eric Lauer at $6,800 makes some sense pitching at home against the Pirates. The Pirates versus left-handed pitching are not a team that really strikes out much. The Pirates in general don't really strike out, and Eric Lauer is not a guy that's going to get Ks. But it is a great ballpark for pitchers. It's a low implied run total for the Pirates at 3.9 runs, and Lauer is so cheap at $6,800 on DK. He pairs very nicely with Luis Castillo. And if you look at Lauer's game log this year, besides that last start where he pitched in cores, obviously Lauer going to struggle in cores. He's been pretty good this year. I guess you could say he's been like mediocre. He's been average. He had that one start against Diamondbacks where he only went for 1 DK point. Other than that, 20, 19, 10, 12, 17, 13. If he gets you 13 to 15 DraftKings points at $6,800 and you get a big game out of Castillo, he goes for 25, 30. That could set you up pretty nicely in tournaments. So I think Eric Lauer at $6,800 is a guy that I do like quite a bit. Obviously, there's guys a little bit more that you could play if you can find the salary to get up to a guy like Marcus Stroman at $7,700. I think Stroman's in a very good spot against the White Sox. I do like playing Stroman quite a bit over on Yahoo. Their pitcher pricing is a lot softer. I don't think you really need to go down to Eric Lauer on Yahoo. Playing Williams and Stroman over there is kind of what I like to do. Really good spot for Stroman facing a White Sox team that does strike out a lot versus right-handed pitching. There's some power in this White Sox lineup, but there's so many Ks that Stroman has some upside in this matchup. So he's a guy that I like to play on Yahoo with Williams. If you can find a way to fit him in with Castillo on DraftKings, you can look to do that. But since we paid up for Castillo all the way, and I do like some of the expensive bats on the slate, I went to a cheaper option in Eric Lauer at $6,800. But I mentioned Stroman. I like him as another option you could consider at $7,700. I think he's a good mid-range play. Other than that, you have Trevor Williams at $8,300, who I do like. Quintana at $9,200. It's probably a guy that I'm going to be avoiding on this slate, just too expensive for me. I think I would rather play Williams for cheaper. I'd rather play Stroman for cheaper. Really, I like the pitchers I'm going to be targeting, or at least, are Castillo, Williams, Stroman, and Lauer. Maybe I'll throw in some Julio Teheran, but other than that, those are the 4 guys I expect to have the most exposure to today. But now let's talk about some hitters I like. I think the Braves are in a very good spot today again. I stacked them up quite a bit on Wednesday versus Michael Wacha. I'm going to be going right back to them versus Adam Wainwright. 4.9 implied run total for the Braves, which is actually the highest on the slate, or it's tied for the highest. The Twins, 4.9 implied run total as well versus Eric Swanson. Really like the Braves here, though, versus Wainwright. Wainwright, at this point in his career, is just not that good of a pitcher. Doesn't really get strikeouts. And if you're not going to strike these guys out, and you're going to let guys like Acuna, Swanson, Freeman, Donaldson, Ozzie Albies, if you're going to let these guys put the ball in play, they can do a lot of damage against you. So Freddie Freeman at 4,500, I like quite a bit at first base. He's relatively nicely priced on Yahoo as well at $18. I think he's a good play over there. I think it's a great spot for Freddie Freeman. Facing a righty in Wainwright, who's just not good, will give up home runs, doesn't get strikeouts. Really like the Braves stack here, and I really like Freddie Freeman at 4,500. Also, Ronald Acuna definitely stands out in the outfield at 4,500 as well. And on Yahoo, I think he's a great play at $17. Love getting Acuna in my Braves stacks. He was one of my highest owned players on Wednesday night after I started building my lineup, started crunching out my lineups. He just fits so nicely. He was very cheap on Wednesday. And like I said, I love the Braves. I stacked them up quite a bit. Acuna's very cheap again on Thursday. I think he's the same price as he was yesterday. So great spot for Acuna as well, facing a pitcher in Wainwright who, like I said, doesn't get strikeouts, will give up home runs. Really like Acuna to go along with my Braves stacks. Then another team I think I'm going to be stacking up quite a bit is the Blue Jays versus Dylan Covey. The Blue Jays did face Covey the last time he started, and they beat him up pretty good. 4 2/3 innings. He allowed 4 runs. He gave up 2 homers. He really struggled against them, and I think Covey's going to struggle again. He's just not a good pitcher. And this Blue Jays lineup is starting to hit the ball well lately. Vlad Guerrero is a guy that I really like. He's starting to heat up, and he's still underpriced in my opinion on both sites. He's 4,100 on DK, and on Yahoo, he's one of the best options in my opinion at just $12. Really like Vlad Jr. on both sides, and I love this Blue Jays stack. They're very cheap as well. You can pay up for Castillo and still fit these guys in, like Smoke, Talese, both under 4K. Randall Grichuk's only 4,200. Obviously, Guerrero Jr. is 4,100. Sogard, 4,400. Freddie Galvis, 3,900. Teoscar Hernandez, 3,300. It's just such a cheap Blue Jays lineup. They're in a great matchup versus Covey. A relatively high total for them as well, with a 4.8 implied run total. Really like going to the Blue Jays bats to go along with some Braves bats. I expect to have a lot of both of those teams. But yeah, these are my 5 plays for DK, and these are my 5 plays for Yahoo. We'll talk about some of the stacks I like now. Obviously, the Braves and the Blue Jays are my top 2 favorite stacks. But other teams that I think I'm going to be considering, if we go to this Twins-Mariners game, I think there's stacks viable from both sides here, whether you want to stack the Twins versus Eric Swanson or stack the Mariners versus Michael Pineda. I do really like the Twins versus Swanson. Twins have some relatively cheap bats as well, like Max Kepler leading off at 3,900. Nelson Cruz, if he's in the lineup, is dirt cheap at 4,200. Eddie Rosario feels a little bit too cheap at 4,700. Marlon Gonzalez only 35, so a lot of value in this Twins lineup. I think they would be my 3rd favorite stack behind the Braves and behind the Blue Jays. I really like the Twins. I'll be mixing in some Mariners as well. Might even throw some Cardinals in there versus Julio Teheran, specifically a guy like Matt Carpenter leading off for 4K versus Teheran. I really like. But the Braves, Blue Jays, Twins, those are my 3 favorite stacks for the main slate. But now going over to BVP and looking at BVP real quickly before we end the video. So we got about 6 BVP plays. I'll cover them here real quickly. So Luis Castillo has struggled to Descalso. Daniel Descalso has gone 4 for 10 with 2 home runs off Luis Castillo. Joey Votto gone 7 for 14 off Jose Quintana. Votto really hit Quintana well. Matt Joyce 4 for 10 off of Adam Wainwright. Matt Carpenter 7 for 14, 2 home runs off Julio Teheran. So Matt Carpenter has really hit Teheran well. And then Marcell Ozuna is 17 for 45 with 3 home runs off of Julio Teheran. So both Carpenter and Ozuna, if you're stacking up the Cardinals, they've had some success in the past versus Teheran. And then lastly, Greg Garcia, he's gone 8 for 14 off of Trevor Williams. So those are all the BVP plays I got for today, guys. I think that is it for this video. Short main slate tonight and short early slate. I'm sure we'll be back Friday with like a 12 or 15 gamer. Fridays usually always has big slates. But anyways, I hope you did enjoy the video. Hope it did help you. If you enjoyed the video, just make sure you click that like button down below before you get out of here, and make sure you subscribe if you have not already. And if you do have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comment section below, or like always, you can hit me up on Twitter at the DFS_GOAT. Feel free to message me on Twitter if you have any questions. But good luck tonight, guys. Really appreciate you watching the video. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.